Hey folks, Nick Tockert here with the Historical Fencing Guild. Before we get into it, excuse me, I'm having some technical difficulties as I realize I put my shirt on inside out. Way to go, Nick. Anyway, we are made possible, wild man here, we are made possible with the love and support of our good friends over at the Independent Creator Directory. That's IndieCD.org, your one-stop shop for the best and the brightest authors, artists, and musicians. My amazing Patreon folks who have understood this hiatus that I should be coming out of, I thank you greatly. We are moving forward, and I think things are going to get better now. And of course, we're made possible by sales of the Simple Sword, the Fighting Axe, and the Simple Spear, all part of our ongoing series of Western martial arts manuals designed to help you go from having never handled the sword to teaching the art to others. Now, we will go over the questions and comments that were sent to me. We will go over the news-ish situations, and I may have solved somebody's problem, so I'm very happy. Before we go any further, there is a bit of gear updating I want to mention. Let me add this to the stage. There we go. Now, I have, of course, already used these exact polypropylene swords, but right now, for the same price for two of them, you can actually get sword belts and frogs. And are they easy to make? Yes, but you're getting them free. The idea of getting a sword belt and frog free delights me to the bowels of my soul, in that this will help people start practicing more from the draw. I'm not, I can't attest to the quality of them, but I can tell you we've been doing quite a bit of sparring with these guys, and they should be comparable to the octagonal cup hilt rapiers that I've used in the past. Now, I'm still questing, I say, to find a polypropylene trainer with a flexible blade like that, but a keyhole grip. Now, yes, I have the one I manufactured. I have to make a new pommel for it. That is going to be a pain in the derriere. There's no ifs, ands, or buts about it. But it is something I'm going to be working on. So, with that having been said, we also let's see, because these are what they've been competing with. And these are actually quite good. I see these weapons as being of a class, in that they should spar against each other just fine, and I intend to have just that happening in the very near future. But I like finding things that are cheap. Also, while we're talking about that, I've been seeing come up on actually Facebook Marketplace, but you can other places, lacrosse gloves. Lacrosse gloves are coming up cheap on Facebook Marketplace. I might have to order myself some. What's going on is, as right now the economy is kind of rough, and that means people are selling off things that are in their their basements and their garages, taking up space in the closet because they may need a buck. And this is a great time for the clever among us to invest and get what they really need. So I am truly delighted and hoping to keep an eye out for gear. And that's one of the things that people were asking me. Places like Play It Again Sports, any of the sporting groups, you have to figure out the seasons, and when it gets to the end of the season, you want to look for clearance when they clear out that material. A lot of what we do requires being a bit of a scrounge if we are doing it on a budget. So whenever I see opportunities pop up to save you money or uh, encourage you to go forward, absolutely. And this is one of the better ones. So there is that. I will be passing that on directly to my new batch of students, and we'll be starting practices again real soon. Keep me damned. I've got stuff to do. So, with that having been said, I wanted to clear that out. Now, for the more lucrative among us, I found something odd, and I'm going to hit that up. This is actually through Purple Heart Armory, and I'll bring it back to where we are. There is no direct image for this. Nothing new for PHA. But 149 for two of his basic trainers. The sword, because this book is about $50. Each sword is nearly $50, and two 12-inch bucklers. That is one of the best deals as an intro to Western martial arts I've ever seen, folks. And again, if I could save you some money, I'm going to. There is a link in the description, I believe. Let me double check. Oh, wait, that's not what I am looking for. But it's very important that you guys check that out. I have a affiliate link, and I will throw that up in the chat so that should anyone want to look up the if you want to support me in any way. What the heck? That was not what I wanted. Okay, that was odd. That's not the right. There's a very strange. No, that's not. Wow, okay, we're having something. Something very strange is going on with my files. I can't believe it's been doing that. Give me a moment. Okay. Paste. Apply. Sorry, I went to grab the link. There we go. So we're going to get that done, just so it's up there for anyone who wants to help kick in, because it looks like I'm going to have to be buying new gear and parts to make new gear for a bunch of financially bereft children, which is nothing new. It's part of what I do. But while that's going on, I really want you guys to look into this, okay? Because if you use that link, I get a bit of credit. I don't quite know why he's not referencing it more. It looks to be a newish thing, but one of the hardest things to do is find gloves and gear, and the price of gloves is very expensive. So the only thing we can do is use what resources we have to try to make things as inexpensive on us as possible. And while this prattles a bit, because I had a request, oh, they have a meat cleaver? The pointer sword, for any of you Game of Thrones types, that's basically needle. I love it. It's a little weak in the hilt. I found it to be just a little weak in the hilt. I'm a little worried about that. The grip's a little funky. But wonderful, wonderful trainers for the lower end. And that's where I tend to focus, guys. I know it's hard to start out or do what we do in this current economy. And a lot of people are going to stop. A lot of people are going to give up. Heck, a lot of people are going to sell their gear. Now is the time to acquire it. By doing that, we can encourage and help others. So if you can find something cheap that might work for you, get it. If you see it a good enough deal, get it for a friend. That's why I love the Amazon deal, like the book deals, and this Amazon deal that comes with 2 swords and 2 bring this back up. 2 swords and 2 sword belts. This is a training kit. Okay? This is an absolute training kit, and there are the exact stats of these weapons. Well, these trainers. Overall length is 38 inches. Blade length is 32. Sweet spot for me. And it's only 8 ounces. That's very important for those of us who are weaker. And that's what we're going to be transitioning in. Because I got a list of questions that I've received many times. And the question is, okay, if you are strong, what is the best medieval loadout? And I'm going to tell you right now, it is sword and board. Sword or weapon and shield. Hard stuff. If you are planning to be a swordsman of that caliber, you have the capacity to handle the weight. That means you could handle a large shield. Okay? Not like light bucklers like I have to deal with. Or riot shields because they're light and maneuverable. A real beast of a shield. And you can then, a decent arming sword, a decent mace, a decent axe. And then you go. Have a backup weapon, at least a rondelle. Why does this matter? This matters because you can wade in. And remember, a shield is a weapon. You can strike with any available edge. You can shield bash with your whole body. A shield is, and has always been, a weapon. All right? It is important. Okay? For ranged weapons, if you are strong, the longest, most powerful bow, well, not the most powerful bow you can draw. The most powerful bow you can draw frequently and comfortably. Now, a lot of people will take their bow draw weight and they will turn it into a sort of anatomy measuring contest. You want to be able to do a lot of shooting. Now, obviously, you will have group archers who fire from medieval days, but most people who are training now are thinking as solo actors. They want to be a fire and forget. They want to be somebody you dispatch and go. And the bow is the master bowman is the source of the sniper mythos in many ways. And it keeps repeating throughout history. You see it at the Battle of Agincourt, when all the horses got murdered down, and the longbowman absolutely rained death. You see it again in the American Revolutionary War, where the advantages of the rifled barrel, the Kentucky rifle spoke volumes to driving the field forward. Likewise, if you are strong enough, for a ranged weapon, consider a longbow. I would say no, about 3/4 your maximum draw weight. You can go more, you can go less, but that's what I'm throwing. Now, the question went on to what if you're very dexterous but not very powerful? And okay, that means you're going to lean more towards Western fencing. Classical fencing, I will tell you, in my humble opinion, parry dagger and rapier. Now, the rapier you can swap out quite a bit. You can swap it out for a small sword. You can swap it out for a, God, I cannot say that word, a colomarche, a transitional thing between rapier and you can even swap it out for a spadroon. If you don't want to go full into the wonderful world of saber. Now, single saber is beautiful. Don't get me wrong. With dexterity, it can be monstrous. But for dexterity and survivability, a parry dagger and a rapier, preferably a cup hilt, and preferably with decent quillions. So a Tizone, colomarche. No, that's the sword I couldn't think of. Caribe, sorry, the Caribe, a Bilbao. And I'm saying it that way because it's not Bilbo's sword. These are going to blend with your fluidness. If you have a lot of dex, you're a very agile person, but not terribly strong. Again, smaller bows, no problem. We'll get into another solution when I hit the next point that will cross over with this, but I'd say a moderate bow, know how to use that. And of course, hatchets. Because you have to figure, if you are going out in the wherever, if you're adventuring, and these questions usually come in the basis of if I were an adventurer, etc. Having a small hand axe to a decent size axe is a life changer when you are out in the bush. So I would recommend that. Now, if you are weak, if you are physically disabled to some extent, there are a few things you can look into that would be very beneficial for you, directly. The first thing you really want to do, if you have the means to and the space, is learn how to sling a sling. Because a sling does not require strength as much as it requires technique. Now, I suck at slings. I've tried several times. I'm probably going to try again. I am not skilled with a sling. I'd like to be, but I simply am not. Now, people I've seen who are devastating. The sling is a ballistic weapon, but it does take wind up, so you need distance. But a sling is something you can carry on you incredibly lightly. It can be integrated into any number of pieces of clothing and concealed. Slings are great. Now, you have to look at what you're carrying. If you are weak, so you're an older person, you may be using a walking stick. I certainly do. Have some idea how you can use the walking stick. Okay? So you're looking at a lot of short, fast thrusts, a lot of downward thrusts to feet, because your job is not to be heroic if you're physically weak, usually. It is to be effective and escape. There are other options and force multipliers. So again, if you're weak, you probably walk with or have an excuse to walk with a stick. If you are walking with a stick, depending on your situation, so this is rule setting dependent, your stick or cane can have a hammerhead. It can have a small hatchet head. This would be essentially mimicking a focus of Alaska, I think is how you say it. That's the Wallachians, I think. But it's basically a hiking axe. And if it is flat on one side and axe on the other, you are now traveling with a very versatile multi-tool. Something that can truly help you in a lot of situations aside from simply carrying a stick. I mean, it maximizes what you can do. So you're going to want to keep that in mind. Spear is always going to be good. The trick with any weapon you train with, and obviously you could go around the realm of short swords and rapiers and lighter weapons. There's a huge variety, and if that's something people have interest in, I will do a video on it. But what's really important in this case is the fact that you have to carry and do things that you can use on your worst day. And I will tell you this, when you are handicapped, there are no Geneva Conventions, okay? That means having something like a sap or, the monkey fists, something you can quickly and lightly give a surprise to somebody. I see no problem with it. Okay? So I want you guys to keep that in mind. They do have sling sticks, which is a sling that is mounted on the end of a staff for leverage. I haven't used one. I'm not sure how effective they are. They're not nearly as commonplace as the basic sling, but I think both in fantasy systems and in our understanding of martial effectiveness in the West, the sling is not valued. In the Middle East and farther, it is valued and is still active to this day, because if you have nothing, you can make one out of scrap. So again, I recommend that. Any weapon you carry, especially as a weak person, maybe disabled, either has to be completely concealed and something you can deploy, or obvious enough that it's going to make people think twice. There are some two-handed weapons that I think work. Again, axes work surprisingly well with a weaker person because it's a lot of leverage. But an axe can be grabbed and taken away from you. Something like a good dog, a club, a short mace, a simple mace. Again, put a cap on the end of your walking stick. How aggressive you want that to be is entirely up to you. But that's going to be a forever item. You understand? Okay. I hope that answers that question. Let me see. What was the other one? We covered that. Oh, speaking of that, there's an interesting. Let me pull this up because I was looking for it. Sorry. By the Sword, of all places, has something they are billing as the utility axe. And that appears to be it's a little short, but this is just an effective axe from the period in which most medievalists are interested. It is literally the peasant's go-to, but it's not a bad thing. And it is something you should keep in mind. As I said, flathead for hammering things, especially driving in wedges, axe blade for both large swings, and you can use it for very specific kinds of delicate work. But I think that's something you might want to look into. I don't know how bad these people's shipping is, so I'm going to have to look into it. But finding an actual decent hiking axe, shepherd's axe, is challenging because it's another product that it is ubiquitous, but it has so many names people don't realize it. It's like, how many single-edged, fairly wide-bladed, roughly 24-inch long cutters are out there? And they'll call it a hanger, they'll call it a machete, they'll call it a type of messer, depending on, fine details. The Chinese have a whole bunch of versions of this. Some call it a dao, some get, basically refer to it as a meat cleaver. This type of weapon is common because it works as a tool and as a weapon. The hiking axes, when people were doing that, were the same. It's something to keep in mind. Beyond that, I don't have much else to discuss other than videos are coming, and I'm kind of going to be rebuilding from the ground up because I had to take a hiatus. Thank you to all the folks who stuck around. My family had very specific needs that drew a lot of my energy and most of my physicality to deal with. So thank you all. In base announcement, I've been working with a group of teens at the Benton County Public Library. After summer reading, part of the program I want to do out there will include sword drills. They like it a lot as long as they are careful. It's good times. So that is going on as well. With all that said, guys, keep your guard up, do your drills, be kind to each other, and as always, thank you for supporting your local swordmaster. I will try to be back next week. Right now, this show is only coming up when I have quality content to discuss. And that's how we're going to roll for a while. All right? Toodles, folks.